All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Talking Nerdy podcast. My name is Travis.
And my name is Aaron.
And today we're going to be discussing some of the news that came out this past week at the DC Fandome event, specifically the news surrounding one of the most beloved DC characters of all time,
Batman.
Aquaman. Oh, I mean, Batman.
Yes. Yeah, some cool Batman stuff. Where do you want to start?
I mean, first I just want to say there was a lot of stuff that came out. We've got new comics coming out. We've got new video games coming out. We've got new movies coming out. And it's not just Batman himself that's kind of being brought back into the limelight.
Kind of a revitalization of DC.
Yeah. We're getting... I mean, Jesus, kind of the big ones that I wanted to talk about. The Batman, the movie with Robert Pattinson as the titular character. Mm-hmm. We've got the sequel to Suicide Squad that James Gunn is directing. There's two video games coming out: Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and then Gotham Knights. And I feel like those are kind of the big ones I think we should focus on here.
Yeah,
is there anything else you
that's
can think
plenty for one little podcast episode.
Yeah. All right, so where do you want to begin with that?
Let's start with The Batman. We just got the movie trailer, the first trailer.
Now, I can't remember if I talked with you about the promotional images that came out a few months ago.
Yeah, because we talked
like,
about the Batmobile specifically.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, when I first saw those pictures, I was like, this looks like crap. I have no interest in this.
It looked like a slightly modded Dodge Charger.
Yeah, which it is.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It is. This is kind of a scrap tech looking Batman, with the pieces of the gun that killed his parents emblazoned into his bat-shaped chest piece.
Yeah.
But that trailer, I was very impressed.
I was too, and the very brief scene where you see specifically the Batmobile, I was kind of like, yeah,
That gave me chills.
Yeah.
Admittedly.
The engine firing up and the headlights, and I was like, I'm down with it. I'm behind it. That's the Batmobile for this movie, and that's A-okay.
I think what I am really excited for is, like, visually, this movie looks like it's going to be spectacular. But I had read a quote about it where the director was saying, like, this is Bruce Wayne. Obviously, he's pretty young. He's not Batman as we know him and love him. This is back when he's kind of first getting started. And, like, the people of Gotham are genuinely terrified of him. They don't realize he's a hero because he kind of goes a little far, which you see in that last scene where he just beats the crap out of that guy.
And then keeps going. Yeah. Oh, but even that, just one little scene, if that's the taste of the kind of, like, level of on-screen combat we're going to get, it's going to be good.
It was such an intimate, small, little fight scene, but it was brilliantly done.
Yeah. Simple choreography, but very effective to being like, that's, you can see it being a early Batman fighting style. A little more unhinged, a little less refined.
Yeah, like he's got still so much anger in him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I feel like that was one of the things about the Christian Bale Batman story that I thought was really cool, was at the beginning you see he is this kind of loose, wild creature. And, like, as he goes through his training and becomes Batman, it all tightens up and becomes a lot cleaner, more calculated.
Yeah.
And, like, that's really when he comes into his own as the character. I did not catch Alfred, I don't think. But we saw Commissioner Gordon, the new Commissioner Gordon. We saw Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. And again, kind of with this scrap tech idea, she's not wearing like a super fancy outfit. She literally has like a ripped up ski mask as a mask.
It's like a beanie that goes across her nose with a hole in the top.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's like that's one of those things where it's like, I think people have kind of, especially with Spider-Man, you know, people are always like, how the hell does this normal person just make an outfit like that?
Oh, yeah. Especially
You know?
if you're doing this right at the beginning, you're going to use what you already have.
Yeah, because
You know,
it's like in the beginning, you don't really know what you're doing.
No.
You just kind of have a loose idea.
And you don't have an understanding of the practicality that you're going to need in your suit yet. You know, you might have a vague idea of an aesthetic, but not the practicality. So, yeah.
Yeah. In a way, it's kind of funny. It's almost like with filmmakers, you know, when you start off, you work with what you have. You know, you use crappy cameras, crappy recording equipment, crappy actors, but it's like the principles of what it is you're trying to do are still there. Mm-hmm. And it's like over time, you develop yourself, develop your skills, develop your image and your style, and then it's like, boom, there it is.
Yeah.
So we see that there are riddles. There, like the Riddler is going to be a part of this, and yeah. I'm a little confused because I think it's the guy who has like a taped up face with like goggles in it or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that was the one leaving the riddles, as far as I could see.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we get a flash of what I believe is the Penguin.
I'm pretty sure that's what they're going with. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I had heard, like, oh, Jonah Hill might be either the Riddler or the Penguin. You know, we didn't see the Riddler's face. I'm pretty sure that Colin Farrell is the Penguin.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean,
they just put, like, prosthetics on him.
A short shot, but just, like, the way his face is kind of distorted, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm going to look it up, actually.
Brain is the penguin. Penguin, Jesus, penguin.
Who are you, Benedict Cumberbatch?
Apparently.
Yeah, Colin Farrell, the Batman, is the Penguin.
Okay, so there you go.
How do you go from Danny DeVito as the Penguin to Colin Farrell as the Penguin? My God. Nothing against Danny DeVito. He's a gorgeous man, but his Penguin was really creepy looking.
Well, we also have Robert Pattinson as Batman, so I mean, there's some some choices that maybe you wouldn't think right off the bat, but like might actually work.
So what is your opinion on this new look for Batman?
Well, it's kind of interesting because he's not really... I mean, the essence of the suit is very similar, but he's not really this hulking figure.
Yeah.
You know, I always think of Batman, of course, you know, I always kind of think of more of like a middle-aged Batman, but as being this just massive, imposing, even with like the animated Batman stuff, he's always...
Yeah, he's broad as hell.
He's huge, yeah, and like even when he's Bruce Wayne, he's still an imposing figure. And like, you know, I don't know how tall Robert Pattinson is, but he's slim. You know, he's got a thin frame. I mean, even his shoulders, he doesn't have huge. And so I kind of like.
I don't know if you heard, but he actually came and said, because people were giving him crap, like, you're not built enough to be Batman, and he's like, I don't care. I'm not getting paid to be jacked. I'm getting paid to play Batman. So like, he did not try and like get into crazy shape for this, like the way Christian Bale did.
Interesting. The only way I could see that being okay is because as a billionaire, when he was just Bruce Wayne, I mean, what was his incentive to work out? You know what I mean?
Crime.
Like, well, yeah. But I mean, like, if you're going with this whole like, this whole younger Batman at the beginning of his thing, he hasn't gotten jacked and experienced and, you know, from literally decades of fighting crime. Like, he doesn't have that under his belt yet.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like justify the actor being like, I don't want to work out, but if you're gonna try and fit it into the narrative, I think that's how you do it. Is he's just not there yet, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah, because like Christian Bale, he was obviously in really, really good shape as Bruce Wayne Batman. And it's one of those things I'm interested to see if they go this route. But I love that, like, Batman Begins, it starts off with, you're like, wow, this guy, he's pretty good. He's in good shape. He's a good fighter. And then he faces, you know, the League of Shadows and gets his butt handed to him by Liam Neeson.
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay, I see. He's not there yet.
No.
So it's like I'm wondering, this being a younger Bruce Wayne, that one scene, like if I, let's empathize real quick with the gangsters here, with those clown-faced mobsters.
Yeah.
If I saw a dude dressed as a bat just completely take down one of my guys like that, I'd be pretty freaking intimidated.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like,
sure.
Do you think we're gonna get that sequence of Batman just like he's not Batman yet and just completely get his butt handed to him?
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, because he's a vigilante, he's a superhero, but you have to show some kind of vulnerability in the character.
Yeah.
Whether it's, emotional or physical. Just think of Bane beating the crap out of Batman. Even when he's at his, so-called peak, he can be bested, mentally as a detective or physically in a fight. And so, especially, again, earlier in his campaign, I think you need to show those weaknesses and give the character something to develop off of to kind of portray maturity and learning and progress towards being the Batman, and if the film doesn't deliver that, I don't think it's going to have any substantial longevity as part of the franchise. But if it gives you some of those moments, maybe, then I think it'll have more meaning and effectiveness as a film. Because Batman's nothing new, so at this point you gotta make it count for it to be worth anyone's while.
It's interesting. You brought up the whole detective factor. And I feel like that's something that has really been lacking in a lot of the Batman movies, is the fact that, like, in the comics, he's referred to as the world's greatest detective.
And that plays a much bigger role in, like, the video games and, the Arkham world, but not in the movies, no.
Yeah. So oh, man, I hadn't thought about that. Now I'm really hoping. And I guess that's kind of what I think would make the perfect Batman movie, is a mystery,
Yeah.
Because,
maybe with going with the Riddler, that's what they're really going to focus on. Obviously, he's going to fight bad guys, but maybe it'll be a little bit more of a intellectual cat and mouse game, and Batman has to rely on his, his wit and his detective skills and his resources and allies, to get through the puzzle. Mm-hmm. That could be really interesting.
Do you have a favorite Batman movie?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. The Dark Knight is top 3 hands down, but I don't know if I have just a standout favorite. And I have not seen every single Batman movie. I'll preface that. I've not seen every single one. So, I don't know. Do you?
I think, again, same as you, Dark Knight's definitely top 3. I feel like Dark Knight and Batman Forever are in my top 3. I love Batman Forever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was like my jam when I was a little kid. And then, oh, man. See, I asked you this. Oh, you know what? It's kind of cheating, but it's an animated film. Batman, Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't think you've ever seen that.
I have not. No.
Oh God, that's like superhero stories aside, that is just a really beautifully conceived animated film. Mm-hmm. It's creepy, it's mysterious, it's heartbreaking, it's funny, it's exciting. I think that's my number 1, Mask of the Phantasm.
Okay, that's cool.
So, yeah. But enough about the Batman. Let's talk about the other movie that's coming out, Suicide Squad.
Suicide or The Suicide Squad?
The Suicide Squad, yes. God, that's so funny.
Not to be confused with Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah, totally different.
Oh, man, and they pay these people millions of dollars. Okay, so...
oh, God.
Yeah. Do we have a release date for either of these movies?
I
didn't pay attention to that.
Neither did I, honestly, but dipping back into The Batman, I heard that trailer we saw was done when they've only filmed...
Yeah.
They've only filmed 25% of the movie.
Ah, okay.
That's what they're saying, because production started right before COVID hit.
So production,
it may have been ongoing, just really infrequent.
Yeah, and may not even be under full production now. So I mean, probably 2021 for both of these. I mean, and obviously both of these films they're going to want in the theaters if at all possible.
Well, I think Suicide Squad has been in production for a while, because I remember them talking about that after James Gunn was first fired from Guardians of the Galaxy over that whole Twitter controversy.
Yeah. And that's why everyone was kind of like, they're rebooting it so soon. It's been like a year and a half.
That's a smart move on Warner Brothers' part, I tell you what. And fun fact, I didn't even see the actual trailer for it. What I watched was a very brief behind-the-scenes featurette of James Gunn talking about his experience making the movie and how it's like nothing like he's ever done before. And it's some of the most fun that he's ever had. And just seeing like the cast and the crew talking about how excited they are for it. And it's like, it's so funny because there's so many big blockbuster superhero flicks you watch and you can see that the actors are just tired and like really not invested in it. But in this one, the level of excitement and joy in people's face when they're talking about it, we might actually have something really special here.
Well, and speaking of the cast, there's like 1 million people in this film.
Oh my God, yeah.
August 6th, 2021 is the current target date, so about a year from now.
Okay, perfect. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, there is going to be quite a diverse cast of both actors as well as, DC characters.
Yeah. Well,
more so than the original Suicide Squad. I mean, they've like
oh God, yeah,
like doubled the cast of characters.
Mm-hmm. It looks like they swapped Killer Croc for Great White.
I saw that. Yeah, they still had to have some kind of animated creature.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Killer Croc, they won the Oscar because of that garbage makeup, so they didn't even use that much CG for him. But I'm glad they got rid of it because he looked ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I heard about the whole James Gunn being fired debacle, I was super upset. I thought that was really stupid on Disney's part, very premature. And when I heard that he got picked up to do Suicide Squad, which, full disclaimer to our listeners, I hate the first Suicide Squad with a passion. I think that is one of the most garbage movies ever made.
I never even saw it because I heard enough people say, don't waste your time.
Oh, dude, yeah. I paid to watch that, and I paid more than money, let me tell you. But this movie, honestly, looks like it's going to be in that kind of same vein as the Guardians of the Galaxy, in that it's this really wild, they're heroes, but they're not heroes. Just like broken people teaming up to do quote-unquote good.
Right.
And James Gunn's sense of humor and his style and the fact that like when he works with his friends, like they make good stuff. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be really, really good.
Yeah. It's going to have Nathan Fillion. Of course it's good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. Oh, and then real quick, just segue back for a second. October 1st, 2021 for The Batman. So we're looking at an August and October release next year. So kind of back to back.
I like that they're not too close, though.
No, it's not like August and then like September 1st or something, Yeah. But October 1st, 2021, so Batman, that's going to be our Halloween movie that year.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that in Suicide Squad they're going to tease any of the Justice League like they did with Batman in the first Suicide Squad? And I think the Flash too was in it.
I don't know, because let's really quickly establish some continuity stuff here about what films are lining up with what films.
Yeah.
So
the Batman is its own standalone alternate universe Batman story.
Right. So if the Suicide Squad is teasing anything, it's going to depend on how cohesively put together the DC universe still is. as far as like having, you know, actors and characters to pull in and do a Justice League film.
Yeah. So okay, did is Idris Elba replacing Will Smith as Deadshot?
Oh, I don't know if he's specifically Deadshot. I saw that he was on the list of actors. I did not see what character he's playing. Un momento. But who else do we have? I mean, we've got Nathan Fillion, we've got Idris Elba. Obviously,
they've got that same guy who played like the ex-soldier in the first one.
Okay.
I don't know what he is. Michael Rooker's in it now as somebody because James Gunn loves working with Michael Rooker.
Says Idris Elba is Bloodsport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but okay.
Me neither.
Pete Davidson is in it. John Cena is in it.
Peter Capaldi. Yeah.
Peter Capaldi. Taika Waititi is listed as a cast member. I'm sorry, I'm stuck on Peter Capaldi. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. That'll be fun.
Alice Braga, which it's funny. I did not know that's her name, but she was the actress that was in I Am Legend. She was that lady. That shows
interesting.
up.
Interesting. Okay.
Looks like Sean Gunn is in it, of course.
Of course he is.
Viola Davis makes a return. David Dastmalchian, or however you pronounce that name, is in it. The guy who is the Russian dude in Ant-Man.
Yeah. So many Marvel people jumping over.
It's James Gunn's friends.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is that dude, the first movie I saw him in was actually The Dark Knight. He played the crazy, like one of the Arkham inmates the Joker let out during that parade when he found out he was going to assassinate Gordon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent takes him aside and he's interrogating him.
Yeah.
And he's like, heads, I shoot you. Tails, you live. And then Batman stops him and he's like, you need to be the hero that I could never be.
Yep, just like that. It's a good movie.
Yeah. Harvey Dent. Can we trust him?
Oh, man, I'm never going to forget.
Got to go back and watch all those videos now.
Yes. So
College Humor, Bad Man. Look them up if you're listening.
Highly
you haven't
recommend.
Seen it yet.
Oh, man. Okay, so yeah, we have these movies coming out, but they're separate DC, not even timelines. I mean, they're just separate.
They're different universes because they're really kind of playing into the whole multiverse of DC stories.
Right.
And I believe they said that the Batman is a Earth 2 alternate story.
Okay, so they are establishing. Well, that's good. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Because and this does connect to Batman in that he's going to be a key player in it. But the Flash movie that's coming out, we heard a while back that Michael Keaton was going to come back. He's going to reprise his role as Batman.
Yeah.
They just confirmed Ben Affleck is also going to be in that movie as Batman.
Yeah. So you're going to have multiverse Earth.
Yeah.
Batman's. Batman.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's cool. And it's cool that they're embracing that because that is nothing new in the comics or even, video games. I mean, even just think of
It's actually, it's a pretty big part of the comics in a lot of stories. So,
but I know people are hesitant to go into that kind of somewhat confusing thinking when you're trying to appeal to a general audience, right?
Yeah.
You can't confuse people too much with your multiverses and things. I mean, Marvel kind of had to tiptoe around that same thing a little bit.
Well, what's funny is I feel like DC is jumping on it before Marvel does. Because Marvel announced they're doing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Mm-hmm. But they haven't technically ever tiptoed into that yet. Yeah. So that will be interesting to see how the public receives that. If some people are like, I don't get it, or they're just like, I just want to see superheroes, so I don't really care.
It's funny. I feel like between 2000 and 2010, pirates. Then it was like ninjas, and then it was vampires, and then it was zombies, and then it was superheroes, and now it's going to be multiverses.
Oh,
and I feel like Rick and Morty kind of kicked that off, and now we're diving into it full Monty.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, and just the whole space and time travel thing is kind of big again.
I
don't know. Trends are weird, man.
Oh my God! Like this must be what our parents feel like. We can't keep up with the kids.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
But I'd not considered at all if the Suicide Squad was going to be a different continuity. So that is going to be interesting to see once we get there.
That is going to be interesting. And so any Easter eggs that are in that film are going to be potential clues, you know?
Yeah.
So that will definitely be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of continuity, we got 2 new DC Batman-related video games that are coming out, and it's a really interesting case because of the particular games that they chose to make. People are very confused on the continuity. So, since we just talked about the Suicide Squad movie, let's talk about the Suicide Squad game.
Okay.
It's called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Yeah.
We got this teaser trailer that, very much like the movies, shows these characters: Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Great White is in this game. I'm trying to that's all I really remember off the top of my head. But they're they're fighting in this kind of war-torn looking city against these robots. Looks like Brainiac. It's going to have something to do with him. They have that giant robot head with his little insignia on it. Mm-hmm. And then they're like hearing on the radio, like, we've got like target number 1, alpha target, you need to take him down. And they're like, who is this anyways? And this shadow appears, and it's Superman. And Harley's like, get out of here, Superman, we got this covered. And then the light shifts and you see his eyes are glowing purple. Brainiac has taken him over. He's the target. He's who they have to kill.
Yeah.
We didn't see any gameplay. This was a cinematic teaser trailer. Did you watch the trailer?
I did.
What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think it's a neat concept of, again, we don't have any gameplay, but you're probably playing as members of the Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. So you're in a DC video game where you're actually getting to play as the, I guess, anti-heroes, you could call them, however you want to label them. They're often opposite the Justice League, but also they're anti-heroes. Yeah. And so the whole idea of the Justice League being the enemy, even if they're being mind controlled or whatever, just the idea of fighting against these people that you very often are the people that you play as in a game, I think can be really appealing and really fun. And you get to play as characters that maybe potentially are just background characters or characters that you end up fighting against. And the whole idea of what happens when the Justice League is the enemy, again, that's nothing new. I mean, God, Batman has a contingency plan for against everyone.
Oh yeah.
And he's very outspoken about that. There's so many times where one character or another gets controlled and the Justice League or whoever has to fight against them, especially Superman. I mean, how many times has Superman gone to the dark side?
Oh man, yeah.
So
Injustice.
yeah. So I think that it's a cool idea that still, once again, fits neatly within the established DC universe. Mm-hmm. But I think it's, once we get gameplay, of course, we'll have a better idea.
Yeah, that's going to give us a much better idea. I do think it's kind of funny though, because we've got the Avengers game that's coming out. And while the Avengers game definitely looks like it's focusing more on, the individual heroes, I know it's you can play cooperatively in that game. Mm-hmm. But I almost get the sense that with Suicide Squad, based on the trailer, it's almost like you'll be able to switch between the characters, at any given moment. I almost got a Lego superhero vibe from it. How you could just like tap a button to switch from this character to that character, so you can utilize their skill set for different situations.
Which could
as
be
opposed
really
to like
cool.
yeah. So I'm hoping that game, I personally I'm hoping it's cooperative. I'm hoping that you'll be able to play online with different people, because I think that would be a major selling point for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which leads me to address Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights. Yeah.
Because this game...
I sent you that thing earlier.
Yeah, just read that article. That is going to be... You can either play it cooperatively or you can play it by yourself.
Yeah. So,
which
open world co-op
cool.
in Gotham. How cool
playing
is that?
as Damian Wayne's Robin, Dick Grayson as Nightwing, Jason Todd as Red Hood, and then obviously Barbara Gordon as Batgirl.
Yeah. So of course, most blaringly obvious, no Batman.
Yeah, in the trailer we see Batman is dead. He's left a video saying I'm sending, you're receiving this because I'm probably gone right now. There's this protocol that's going on. Batcave is going bye-bye. You all are going to have enough resources to get by, but I expect you to continue protecting the city.
Yeah.
And what's kind of confusing is that when you play Arkham Knight, the final game in the Arkham trilogy, because Arkham Origins is not part of that storyline, there's like a secret ending once you complete like everything, all of the riddles and collectibles and things like that, where Bruce Wayne goes home and Wayne Manor blows up, and it's like, ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Wayne is dead. So it's like people were very, very confused when we got this trailer, because they're like, oh, is this supposed to be a continuation of the Arkham series? Because it seems like that would make sense. But that's not the case.
But it's not.
The Suicide Squad game is within the Arkham universe.
Yeah.
That has been confirmed. That's part of the Arkhamverse. But Gotham Knights is a completely separate experience. Not related to those games at all, even though it's made by the same people.
And Batman is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does work out better, honestly, because in the Arkhamverse, Barbara Gordon has been crippled by the Joker, so she wouldn't be Batgirl.
Right.
Which makes me wonder what's their story going to be for this? How much backstory are we going to get on everybody? Are they going to explain that this Robin is Batman's biological son? Because that's something I feel like, even though a lot of the comic book reading community has been well aware of this for years now, there's still a lot of people like my father who grew up as a kid reading Batman, had no idea there were separate Robins, let alone Batman having a son who becomes Robin.
Right, there was just Batman and there was Robin.
Yep.
Simpler times. Yeah, that's a good question, because obviously the Arkham games are very story heavy.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, it's still open world, and you've got your combat and stuff, but, I mean, just the cutscenes and the plot, and it's just layers upon layers upon layers.
Oh,
you know, and even for the side characters, not just Batman and whatever he's up against.
Particularly when you get into Arkham Knight, which was the last game to come out.
Yeah, which I watched you play almost the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for this to be, again, a game where you, pretty much certainly aren't going to be playing a sole protagonist, and has the ability for co-op, how much are you going to get into the story of the person? How much time is going to be dedicated for exposition and backstory and character development when you can, potentially just play as someone else and forget about this person entirely, or go the whole game and only play as one of the four people, so it's going to be, how does that work? Obviously with the Arkham games, you're Batman. And this is these are four sidekicks that are now your primary heroes. So how much time is going to be dedicated to storytelling, or is it just going to be like, this is Batgirl, go kick some ass? You know?
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is the fact that there are 4 protagonists that are potentially playable, but you can only play one and like two person co-op at any given time. So you can
Right.
only have 2 people going, even though there's 4 characters that are technically on the scene
Right.
or could be
right.
on the scene.
Could be on the scene, but you're not going to be running around. Gosh, can you imagine a 4-man squad just controlling all 4 characters?
Bruh. I think it's smart for a lot of reasons they didn't do that. And
I agree.
The
I
one
agree.
explanation they gave that I really am fond of is like in the Batman mythos, it's always the dynamic duo, you know?
Yeah, and
It's
even when
always
there's a larger team and network of support, but there's always, it's the buddy system. They pair off and then they go address separate issues.
Yep.
You know, I mean, so many times in a cutscene, people come together and then it's like, okay, you're going over there, and me and Robin are going over here, and then you resume your play, and it's just the 2 of you. You know, so it's like that is common where you just, even if you have cutscenes where everybody's together, there's always some kind of plot device that pulls them apart again.
Yeah. I like that they said the Gotham map is not going to have any areas blocked off at all. Like, as soon as you load into the game, it's all accessible.
Which is cool.
This idea that enemies are going to have levels to them, that's the one thing that I kind of was like, I don't know how I feel about that, because I love the way the Arkham games function. But knowing that, like, your character can level up and you get, like, upgraded gear and uniforms, as they're referred to, and that makes it easier to take on, like, higher level enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of preferred when it's like you've got these different enemy types that are scattered throughout the city, and it's like there's always a degree of challenge, but in that game, it's like, in the Arkham games, it's like the more gadgets you unlock, the easier it becomes to take down these large groups.
Right.
You know, as opposed to, like,
having
you're
them scale
literally gonna have
with
people
you.
that are
Yeah.
stronger than you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That-
I don't know. It's a different game, so it's going to need to be taken as such. Going to have to kind of rid my mind of the Arkham experience.
And as long as the leveling system is fair, and but yeah. Oh, and if you're switching characters, what if you're like, oh man, I've got, Batgirl all nice and leveled up, and I want to switch over to Robin, and you're like, damn it, Robin doesn't have anything.
Yeah, and that, honestly, that was a big critique of the Avengers game when the beta came out, is when they said, like, your levels don't carry over. You're gonna have to play as each character, grind with them to level up. And what I think is helpful as far as the multiplayer aspect of the game, because, like, honestly, I'll probably pick one character and just play the whole game as them. I think that makes the most sense to me personally.
Yeah. Well, and you like to replay games, so you're the type of guy that could play the whole game as one person, and then if you liked it, go back and play the whole game again as someone else.
This is true.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, the multiplayer experience, what they said is, it's kind of nice. Doesn't make sense, but it's kind of nice. Is that if you have a player who's like, I like Nightwing best, I want to play as him, your cooperative buddy can also play as Nightwing, because you have the option to customize them differently, and it will change the way your character functions. So it's like, yeah, you can essentially have 2 of any of the 4 characters on at the same time.
Okay. I wonder if switching between co-op and single player will affect like
your progression through the story.
Yes. Can you seamlessly switch between, like, if you're playing the game and I'm like, hey, I just got off work, want to play some Batman? And you're like, sure, just jump in. Or is it like, let me go back to the menu and load the co-op mode?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like The Forest, where it's like you're going to have a party leader, and however far they progress in the story, they only progress that far within their story. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to be the same again as The Forest, where if your character levels within their world, you can load your character level where you left off.
Yeah,
you're not just going to be starting from the beginning every time, and you're like, I don't know. Maybe it'll go by the level it is in your world. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's nice you played with them, but now you got to carry over.
Ooh, that would be
That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Yeah. That being said, a lot of exciting things. I mean, we don't have... There's nothing really that we've talked about that we were like, man, that looks like shit. Not excited.
No.
We've got
think
some
this is
good stuff to look forward to, and we're just waiting for the finer details.
Yeah, these next couple of years I think are coming up DC. I feel like Marvel's had its day, but it's going to take a little bit of a rest now, just like Tony did.